Guys, I want to share something real quick because there was a collection tour posted recently. And
Oh, whose is that?
yeah, I don't know. There's a logo in there
Some lame
somewhere.
Something
ass who
like
gets a
that.
neon
So I want
segment.
to
Get
share
out
this,
of
and
here.
I want Riley to lead us with some display tips, considering it's such a beautiful collection. But
Wow.
I want to give people the #1 display tip for collectors. Like when they go to search on YouTube and they're looking for
Don't
Hot
collect.
Toys collection display tips, like what can, besides putting the wrong Iron Man in the no, I'm just kidding. Besides putting
Yeah,
the
It's
wrong
the
man in the
right
Hot Toys.
Iron
I
Man.
hope that falls. It's
I
so
know,
funny.
right? So I will say, other than that, Riley, what do you think is your #1 display tip that you want to, pass on to people that are looking for that type of info?
Right. Well, firstly, thank you for pulling this up, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
bro.
Shout out the little plug there. But yeah, the best tip that I can honestly give, because when I first started collecting, honestly, like when I was like, okay, I want to build out a really cool display. Like I just got to go on YouTube. Like I want to see other people's collection tours. But the more I looked into it, the more I realized like I feel like it looks a lot better, your collection, when it kind of more fits like you personally, like on a personal level, when you
Hmm.
what you really want to see with your own eyes. Because yeah, you can take inspiration from others, obviously. Like I've taken inspiration from others, but more so like kind of having your own uniqueness in a collection. I think that really makes it home, because that kind of makes people more interested. Because in my opinion, when you have people's display, like, and you're kind of just using the exact same thing you're doing, yeah, it looks great, but at the same time, I think it's like adds that much more like uniqueness if you have like more personal things. Like in my eyes, like I want to do those neon signs. I thought that would look really cool in my room if people like came
Nope.
over, etc. Oh, yep, sick, Carlos, thanks. And having the little light there on the right next to my poster. But yeah, like the little things like that and the light boxes. I just really like the light boxes. I think those are another tip if you want to have like some more like, I just think lighting. That's another thing I'd say. Like lighting in a display, in my eyes, is so important to me. Like I always want to have really cool lights, different arrays of lights, multicolor lights. I just think it looks really cool. And also adding some other stuff to it, like those CFL sabers. I really like those. They have like the wiring to it. I think that kind of adds more onto it, those lightsabers, because in my eyes, if you're a Star Wars collector, I think that you guys should pick those up because they really light up the display personally. But yeah, like I said, I think the #1 display I'd say is just kind of be unique to your own collection. Do things that are kind of out of the box, that more so like fits towards you. Like when this they see this collection, this is like me. This is the stuff I love, the figures I love. I got the dark side Anakin right in the middle, dead center, because that's just my favorite figure. So stuff like that, the little things like that, and having like my gaming stuff on the right there as well, because obviously I play video games and stuff. So I kind of just have my own unique spin to it. That's what I'd say.
Well, Riley, I think I also
And
want to add to that. I think you start,
Okay.
Carlos. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and what people don't know is the Riley setup. Actually, it's gonna be, see, right now it looks a little dark in the middle, and he has some lights going on, and it's a
Yeah.
pretty good setup. It's better than most, better than like Marco's, right? Because his setup sucks. This
Wow.
is a
Yeah,
really
bro.
good setup. But what's gonna happen is that when Riley's gonna get his Magic cases, it's gonna take him five
Yeah.
years to build. He has a
Yeah.
really dope setup. Like I don't think you guys
Yeah, he
realize
does.
that
It's gonna
Riley's
be
setup
cool.
is gonna torch a bunch of setups because it's gonna actually fit with the TV and the video games, and it's gonna be
Yep.
really great.
Excited.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
stay
man, it's
tuned. I'm
gonna
gonna
be
post a
awesome.
setup of it, but yeah, thanks. Appreciate that.
It's gonna be dope, bro. I'm still reacting to this one though, Riley. I'm
Yeah,
reacting to
bro. Where's
this
it
one.
at? I'm
I
waiting,
know I got
man.
to do it. I got to do it probably one day, maybe this week or early next week. But because we're
Sweet,
about to
sweet.
paint this whole room, so yeah, that's gonna
Oh,
be something that
nice.
happens. But one thing I would just throw in before Carlos jumps in is typically from what I've seen, I've reacted to a lot of collection tours, and a lot of people do make this work. But I do think one of the things that I tend to prefer, and I think I've seen this in the chat a lot, less can tend to be more. I feel like that's something that I think is
Yeah.
pretty applicable to
Yeah.
collecting. If you have too many figures, it starts to kind of lose some of its like allure with the collection because there's just too much going on. There's too much to distract you. But if you have like
Right.
a really like finite, a solid curated amount of figures and a curated collection that reflects you, I think that really is the biggest
Totally
tip that I
agree.
think that can make
Yeah.
you be successful or have a really collection that you're happy with. Because like we've talked about Carlos, the TBC, and when like Riley was
Yeah.
saying, like have something that reflects you. Like when you walk into it, you'd be like, you know what, this is clearly Riley's collection, right? This is Will's
Right.
collection. Like how many people are you going to see a Pennywise for, right? But for me, you
Right.
walk in, you're like, that's got to be Will's collection. Like if I posted a video and I'd be like, oh, this is an anonymous collection, people be like, that's your collection, Will. We know better, right? That's something like with Riley that could be the same here, not just because of signs, but we could look at this and
Right.
be like, there's a lot of Spider-Man shit in there. So
Yeah, that's true.
it's probably Riley or Nick, right? That's probably
Yeah,
what I
that's
would
true.
say. So that's what I would say. Make it your own, and less is more. Try to curate, make it look real
Right.
clean and classy, and not overwhelming. But what do you think, Carlos? What's your tip?
Yeah. So I do things a little bit different. So mine is originally what I wanted to do was I was going to try to get between like 8 and 10 165s from the Maji cases. So that was going to be a shit ton of figures. And then we came up with the whole, tier based system. So as far as tips for me, it's kind of hard just because my idea of what I wanted to do has completely changed. So I try to do more of like this box is called like Apex time boxes. And then what I'm trying to do is more like stick to one figure per individual box, make sure that each one is nicely lit. So yeah, it's just a little bit more difficult for me to give as far as a tip, because I feel like I'm not planning on having, a ton of figures. I want to have more a specific section. I don't know if you have that picture that I sent you so people can see what I'm referring
Yeah,
to
let me
as
pull
far
it
as
up.
like what I'm trying to do. But yeah, like when Will pulls it up, you can kind of see like my idea of what my example is going to look like. So this is an Apex time box. The idea is to have a whole like 12-foot, 14-foot wall covered with all of these, or have it created by Maji cases that are the same size. So what I did here is like, as my Star Lord, I just put the Yondu there as a placeholder. But basically what it is you have all the accessories from the first Star Lord. Obviously there's the version 2 because of tier-based collecting. I can actually have a plaque that's going to be signed by him. I'm just waiting for it to get delivered. Like the boots on him are from the Infinity War, because the one from Volume 2 didn't have the actual rockets on its feet. So this is kind of the route that I'm going with. So as far as tips, just do whatever is custom for you, makes sense for you. Like Riley said, be unique to yourself, because this is kind of what I'm doing, is being unique to myself. I've never seen anyone do something like this, where it's going to be individual Apex time boxes, signature plaques for the figures. And this is just kind of one sample that I'm doing until the new Maji case samples comes in. So I can compare which direction I want to go with, because it's a little bit more customizable. But you can kind of get an idea as to like the direction of what my collection is going to be. So imagine this, all of them probably with signature plaques, accessories from previous figures. So that's what I'm doing. So you can kind of get an idea that Riley is obviously a little bit different setup, while I'm being more like, intimate with each individual figure. So like this is what a tier-based collecting example will look like for me. Because even like this figure is going to get his hair rooted, right? So all this high end as much as I can in one specific section. So that would be my thing. Is the biggest tip is going to be do something that calls out to you specifically. Like obviously Riley has his style, I have my style, Will has his own, and whatever makes sense for you. Sure.
Yeah. And I will say, I want to give a shout out to someone else who posted a collection tour recently, Mr. Handsome Butters.
Look
Handsome
at him.
Butters.
Wow.
Yeah, Mr. Kiko posted another one. And so guys, you definitely want to check that one out. Kiko has like over 200 figures, I think. But he does things really well. Yeah, like he's I mean, honestly, Carlos, he gives Lael a run for his money as the king of DTOFs, because Kiko has a ton of DTOFs, bro. And he makes them look great because he lights them really, really well. And, again, like I said, you can have a lot of figures like Kiko and still make it look good. It's not my preference, but I will say when I react to these figures, I see Justin's and I see this one, I'm like, you know what? It still looks really, really good. It's still a lot of figures. And, again, it's not personally my taste, but at the end of the day, they make it look good. So
there's a lot, but they're like organized, like they look great. Yeah, like
when you look at that, like sort of the wide shots of what Kiko has there, I mean, it's just like, and it's really well lit and organized, and it just has a lot of like style to it. I mean, you could be in there, I guess, for hours looking around. It can be a little bit overwhelming, I get that, but like, hey, if you really want an awesome collection, there's a lot of characters you love, I mean, there's the way to do it. So looks pretty dope.